All right, there we go. So hi, everybody. I'm Linda Brubaker, and this is Job Search Lunch and Learn. We're a support group and an educational group and a networking group for any job seeker who wants to join us. We're going to be using the chat a lot today, so I want you to make sure that you have your information ready. And for some of you who've already put it in there, I'm going to actually ask you to put it in again later in several different ways. So don't be mad at me, but we are going to be trying to do several different things. What we're talking about today is starting a conversation about career search GPS, goals, plans, and support. And today what we're really talking about are your goals. Before we get into that, I want to ask whether or not anybody's got a quick win that they'd love to share with us. We'd love to celebrate you. Anyone have anything they want to share?
Linda, I do
Okay,
have something to
Julie.
share.
Go ahead, Bo.
Okay. It's not a success necessarily, but since you asked about things to share, for those of us in the Chicago area, there's a significant job fair, and it is May 30th at Harper College in Palatine from 2 to 6 p.m. So I just wanted to flag that for you. Linda would tell you that job fairs is one of many different tactics that we use in job search, but I hope that helps you. May 30th, the job fair is sponsored by the Greater O'Hare Association. They've got about 30 employers so far. May 30th, 2 to 6 p.m., Harper College in Palatine.
Thank you. Would you put that link in the chat and also in our private group? Okay, Julie.
Yes, I did speak to a recruiter yesterday regarding a position. Actually, he was the owner of the company, phone screen. So he said he'd let me know by next week, regards to, for an interview. I'm still want to do, of course, the thank you note, but I guess my question on that is, I can't really, if I don't get this particular position, can I say in the thank you note for future roles or just wait on that?
So you had an
Well,
interview,
for future roles, I mean.
right? So you had an interview for a specific position?
The phone screen.
Okay, that's fine.
Phone
So
screen, yeah.
you thank him or her for the time for that particular conversation. Okay,
Right.
for that position.
Okay.
You don't at that point say or future roles.
Okay, I didn't think so, but I mean, if I for some reason obviously do not get this position, then I could email him after the fact. Just
Absolutely.
keep me in mind.
Absolutely. In fact, that's one of the things that so few people do is follow up after a turn down to say thank you again. Thank you for your time. Really loved what I learned about the company and the position and the people I'd be working with. I would love to be considered for future opportunities. May I keep in touch? Can I keep it, come back with you in another 2 months, whatever, just to check in and see how things are going. You can also ask that person at that point, if you've had a great conversation, for feedback. What can I do to better prepare myself for a job like this in the future? It's better than saying, what did I did wrong? Or what did I do wrong? Okay, that using them as that mentor in that situation is a good thing.
Thanks.
Okay. Next. Anybody else? Al, are you still in limbo?
I am still in, well, I did get, it goes on and on. I was waiting for it the job to post because they said, we need to post a job. There has been some restructuring at the university. They were waiting. So I was waiting for it to post. I had my letter ready, or my cover letter ready, and then I got a text message yesterday from the VP who said, oh, I forgot to do this thing with HR. It'll post. So he goes, be patient with me. It is happening. It's just taking a long time. I'm like, so.
That's such a frustrating feeling, I know.
It is. It is. I mean, for all intent, I think it's happening. It's just that I don't want to jump up and down yet.
Right.
Right. So
Exactly.
I'll let you know.
Yes,
Thank you.
please. Okay. Cindy.
Okay. Sorry, I was having trouble getting off mute there. maybe just some good like feedback or comment on this, but I had a firm contact me about they wanted to ask me some questions about what sales support roles are. And what it turned into was, I don't want to divulge the financial information of the big company that I came from in regards to what our strategy was behind sales support. But they literally wanted to give me a disposition on everything that I knew about it. There wasn't any precursor to asking me, be prepared, to discuss X, Y, and Z.
You probably won't get that. Okay. They expect that you're going to be able to talk about some information, and you can say this is proprietary information. I cannot divulge it, but I can tell you and then give some generic or some ideas, some ranges.
Okay.
Okay. But nobody should be asking you to divulge proprietary information. Everybody knows that you are respecting them, and as a result, you will respect the new company as well. And I
Okay,
might
thank
even
you.
say that, okay?
Yeah.
Same way that you'd want me to be able to protect your information, I can't divulge the information from my past employer. I can tell you this. And see whether or not that works.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. Anyone else? All right. So I want to build a little bit on what Bo said about talking about going to a job fair, because a job fair, whether it's online, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, is a good way of getting yourself out there. Now, one of the things that's important, and one of the things that you can do, is always check out the job fair in advance. Find out not only who's going to be there, what companies are there, but also what positions are there, so that you know how to better talk to the people, how to find the people that you want to talk with. Now, you have to bring a generic resume. We know that. But if you've had a good conversation with someone, make sure that you get their information and ask if you can follow up with a specific resume for that job, and ask when, if you could have a conversation with somebody because you'd like to be able to continue that networking, that information sharing about what they do. Build them up, talk about you last, okay? But it's always about them first, even at a job fair. The idea is, how can you be of value to them, as well as what can you learn from them about potential openings? Okay, but a great way of doing it. And we're going to start seeing more and more job fairs, but I would always double check. Some job fairs are not going to be appropriate for everyone. It's based on the jobs that are there, the employers that are there. What we have found in recent years is that many job fairs are based on either a specific kind of job or specific kind of person. They're more looking for those positions where they can hire in bulk rather than necessarily the one-off positions. What that means is that you will see job fairs for schools, for medical positions. Okay, so one of the healthcare agencies near me is having a big job fair. You'll see it for colleges and universities. You'll see it for manufacturing or retail or other kinds of focuses. But you may not necessarily see employers there who are going to be looking for the IT business analyst or the social media communications professional. So it's hard to find out what's going to be there. If you can look at the companies and the positions that they're talking about or what they might have open, you have a better way of preparing yourself and deciding whether or not this is worth your time. Now, if the company has the positions that might be useful for you, even if they're not talking about them at the job fair, it's still a good thing to go, because then you can introduce yourself, learn more about the company, and ask who that right person might be to speak with. Okay, so get that kind of contact information. Yes, Bo.
Linda, I think you'll find this interesting. So I went to a job fair in Kendall County, Illinois recently, and sponsored by the state, by IDES. They asked people to register in advance by a certain day. And if you didn't register by a certain day, they weren't going to let people know who was there. And I even called after and they would not divulge it. I'd never heard of that before in my life. So a tip for all of you is if you're curious about a job fair, do register. That's one way to get the list. Just FYI.
Wonderful. Okay, it's a great idea. Okay. Other wins, other suggestions before we get started? Okay. By the way, any questions you have, make sure that you ask them. If we don't answer them here, we'll answer them later. And we are going to do some small group networking, both as part of our conversation today, as well as at the end of the conversation, because I want to be able to make sure that you're doing it. So what we're talking about today is that whole idea of knowing what your goal is. I know your goal is to find a job. That's a given. But the question is, what kind of job? And how can you share what that goal is with the rest of us? If you're thinking about your LinkedIn profile, at the top of that headline, you've got those 220, I think is the current count, characters that you can use. But if I'm pulling your name up in a search, and I haven't actually gone into the profile yet, I'm only going to see 40 to 50 characters. So those 40 to 50 characters have to be really impactful. I don't want your profile to start out with the jobs you used to do, or even if you're currently working, the job you're currently doing or the employer you're with. I want you to have something more generic that talks about your value, what you bring. Even when we're doing any kind of networking, we want to make sure that you got something short, because otherwise people have short attention spans. We forget. So when I said we were going to use the chat, I do want everybody to introduce yourself in chat. But I want you to take some time. And if we're talking about that LinkedIn profile, right, those first 40 characters, if you've got a good profile that you are willing to let us take a look at, that would be great. But in the meantime, I want you to think about what you want to say. What do you want to be known for? What do you want people to find you for in those first 40 to 50 characters? Share that in the chat so that we can think about it. Okay, you can't do everything, but let's see what it might come up with. And if anybody's willing to share one or talk about one or even read their own profile, or willing to let us see their profile and what that might look like. Perfect. Chad, you willing to let us share it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect. All right. Sorry, I do apologize. Technical issues with Zoom today. For me. I think for some reason it's decided that I'm a participant. Okay. So when I'm talking about the first 40 to 50 characters, okay, if I'm going to pull Chad's profile up, okay, before I even go in, this is what I see. Learning and customer education leader enabling employees. That's what I mean by those initial characters, because that's going to help me decide whether or not I want to go ahead and see more. So think about those very first lead-ins to your profile. What I like about Chad's is that he really talks about what he can do as opposed to what he's done in the past. Now, if you look at Chad's, can you tell what he's looking for? What value he would bring? Anybody have any ideas of what kinds of jobs he's looking for? Unmute and shout it out.
Learning and development leader.
Okay.
Management in education.
I'm sorry, management.
Management in education.
Okay. Any other ideas?
I think the point you're making is it's not real clear.
That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, we've got some idea. So Chad, can you tell us what you're looking for?
Eileen and Lisa were both correct.
So you're looking for training and development. You're looking for management role in those areas.
That's correct.
Okay. You're looking more in curriculum. I see curriculum design there. Do you want to be on the back end or in the presentation end?
I can do both.
Okay. So if we were to look here at your open to work, because if you've got that on, it will give you the opportunity of adding job titles. So you just say director and manager.
Mhm.
I would change that. Director of what? Manager of what?
Okay.
Okay. You want actual job titles that people might search for.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So that's one of the things is we need to be as clear as possible. We all know what we're looking for, but you have to be able to express it in a way as often as you can in as many locations as you can to express it so that somebody else knows. Okay. Carol.
I pronounce it as Carl. I was just going to also
Oh, I'm
volunteer.
sorry, Carl. I
No,
apologize.
no problem. The Y throws everybody off. I was just going to volunteer as well to showcase or show the profile.
That's fine. So let me go into yours. So okay. Executive P&L leader, global president, general management. Are you in a specific industry focus?
Manufacturing primarily. I probably should put that up closer.
Uh-huh. Okay. So global president doesn't tell me a lot. That's a job title, but that could be anything. General management doesn't necessarily tell me anything either. Mhm. So I see it more here when we're going beyond those first 50 characters. And that's a really good thing. Okay. Carl, I'm
So
glad to see that you enabled the sound feature. Maybe I play that for people?
Sure.
Maybe. Interesting. For some reason, I'm having trouble doing that. I should be able to do it from your profile. You can
Yes.
only record it from your phone, but you should be able to hear it from here as well. So for those of you who don't know what that is, LinkedIn gives you the ability to record, I think it's a 20 to 28 second little blurb. It was originally designed as a way of helping people to understand how you pronounce your name. But because you've got a little longer, you can include a very, very short little bit about you. The advantage of using that, whether your name is easy to pronounce or not, is that it helps to make you a real person. Every time we hear your voice, you become more human. So whether I use it or not, the fact that you've enabled that feature tells me a little bit about you and how you want to connect with other people. Now, you should be able to hear it directly from your screen, whatever your screen is, but you can only enable it from your phone. So you need the LinkedIn app on your phone, go into your profile, and then there will be a spot to edit your contact information or your contact information in your header. Okay.
Linda, someone, Sue had written that it's limited still to 10 seconds potentially.
Oh, did they change it now back to 10 seconds?
That was from Sue. Yeah, look,
Okay.
potentially.
Now they haven't cut mine down.
Will it let you play yours, Linda?
I'm sorry.
Will it let you play yours right now?
Technology is wonderful when it works. And today I will be very clear. Unfortunately, I'm having tech issues. So it's not allowing me to play it. Sue, can you play one and I'll switch it?
Do you want Carol's or yours? I did both. Just let me know because I'll need to share my screen and then enable.
Either one.
Okay.
Let's do Carol's.
And
Carl,
Yeah,
sorry.
I
Yeah.
did it again. Carl, I do
Yeah, when you
apologize.
share your
that's
screen,
why-
you have to share the sound.
yeah, hang on. Yes, you're right. Whoever just said that, there's a
You're right.
little button you have to push.
Exactly.
Carol, sorry it went off you and didn't find you again. There we are. All right, let me get your profile up and do this. Let me look at
Now, when you
some-
say it, when you say your name or whatever it is you're saying, speak slowly, but use a little bit of emotion in your voice.
Okay, can you all see Carol's profile? So then I'm
Carl.
looking here. Carl, sorry, it sounds
That's right,
like,
I'm doing the same thing.
all right, I enabled the sound so you can turn it up on your side and you make a judgment about how you hear him pronouncing it. It's okay, Carl. I just want to know how you're telling people to pronounce it.
Carl Brown.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Now, because it's a little longer, you can say a little more than just your name. If your name is, trying to look at one, might be something that people might have more difficulty with. Yeah, it sounds like, or want to make sure you know me, or Carl Brown, manufacturing leader. Just something to be able to talk about who you are and what it's all about. Let me see. Okay, try this again. Oh, there we go. Share sound. Let me try mine real quick. Because I think mine is a little longer than 10 seconds. I may be wrong. I may not be able to do my own. There we go. Let's try.
Hi, this is Linda Brubaker. I'm your job search coach, helping you find your next forever job.
So you can add a little more. It may be a little longer than 10 seconds, or maybe I just talked faster than I thought I did. But you can add a little bit of a tagline there in addition to just talking about, okay, your name. So based on Carl's talk, we've already suggested that he talk a little more about the kinds of jobs he wants to do. That's important. And make sure that when you're in your open to work, that you're being specific about the job titles. You can actually add 5 different job titles in that open to work section. So if you've got it enabled, you might as well include more. Anyone else willing to let us take a look?
I can.
And this is, I'm sorry,
Oh, Julie.
Julie.
Yeah. Because I was looking up the video aspect too. I wanted to ask on that. I mean, the audio.
Okay, that's all right. By the way, what happened to your television screen?
I don't know. I couldn't find it to this. It's my living room for right now.
It's okay.
That's okay.
So Julie's first 40 to 50 characters, human resource coordinator, onboarding specialist, recruiting. That tells us a little bit about what you're looking for and what you do. So now we've got a little more information, and it's that idea that helps us to figure out what it is she's looking for and how we can help her. In her open to work, she does have those 5 different job titles, and they're very specific in terms of what she's looking for. That's what her goal is. One reason we're talking about these goals in terms of a career GPS is that the idea is, if we want to help you, we want to network with you, or somebody else is looking at your profile, if they can't tell what you're looking for, it does you no good. So being very clear in what that goal is important. I agree. Getting Zoom to play those audios is tough. Okay. Thanks, Sue, for saying that if you're recording a new one, it's only 10 seconds. But you can say a lot in 10 seconds in addition to your name. So try that. Now, I mentioned that we were going to be using the chat again, and I do want everybody to put your information in the chat. I'm going to put mine too, and Sue is as well. And Sue, I'm sorry, I forgot to let you introduce yourself. So I'm going to get you to do that in just a moment. But as people are thinking about it, I want you to think about an introduction that is no more than 50 words. When you're doing some sort of a networking event, when you're putting some information into one of these chats in an online meeting, 50 words is about as much as people are going to read. Some of you, for your introductions, when we do these lunch and learns, it's very long. It gives us a lot of great information. But at some point, people stop listening or stop reading. So think about what it is you can put in there that is enough to give us information about how we can help you, point you in the right direction so that we know what you're looking for, as well as the fact that when you're talking to other people, they can talk about what it is you do. They understand very quickly what you do. Think about it as the beginning of the very short way of doing that. Tell me about yourself, right? This is not the tell me about yourself response in terms of an interview. This is the tell me about yourself response, the elevator pitch for what you're doing in terms of a networking call. And in a minute, we're going to actually go into some breakout rooms to share some of that, talk about what you do, be able to share that information, get to know one another a little bit, and then get some feedback from people as to whether or not they know by the end of that conversation what kinds of things you're looking for and how they can help. Remember, networking is more about what you can give rather than what you can take. But you have to be able to share information in order to do that. So if anybody would be willing to put in information in the chat, they're 50 words, no more. Okay, that would be great. In addition, make sure you are all putting in your LinkedIn URLs because we want to connect with you. So for example, my 50 words, perfect. Joanne, welcome. You look like somebody I don't, oops. Thank you, everybody, for including your LinkedIn URLs. And I've got lots of learning experiences today in terms of technology and Zoom, so not sure what's going on here. So think about what you can add, what you can do. We want people to know what you do. Sue, would you be able, can you introduce yourself? I'm sorry, didn't get you to do that initially.
No problem. I've been away for a while and I
Did you have a
know
great
that
vacation?
Guatemala, New Orleans, and Austin. Lots of fun meeting family and friends and going to Guatemala for my godson. So
Wonderful.
I have missed you all, and I'm sorry that some of you are still here, although it's nice to catch up. I haven't gotten to all the recordings. I started the first one from the first week because there were great topics. I'm known as Sue Mentors in the virtual world, and you've already probably seen me today. I'm the mentor with Pom Poms to celebrate everything, even rejections. When Frank was still here, he was great about sharing his rejections because Linda always turned them into learning lessons for all of us, not just for Frank. And I know he won't mind me mentioning him. I work with a global mentoring practice all over the world. I'm on the phone. Sometimes it's on the phone. Listen how old I am. I'm on the Zoom at 7 a.m. sometimes, not so much late at night, but I work with people on various continents. And when Linda started this group, I said, I'd love to come because it helps me better understand the US market in detail, because in actual fact, we're all working in global companies, even if you don't think your company does global work. You have global citizens, you have global sourcers and sources that provide for you. So thanks for letting me introduce myself. I know I went way beyond 50 words.
It's quite all right. So when you're doing it in groups, right, we're going to go more than 50 words, but in those side panels, you really want to be short and to the point, because otherwise you're going to get lost. You want to be able to quickly tell people, mine is, I checked it out earlier. It is exactly 50 words. I used the word count feature. Okay, just to make sure that it's there. But the point is, we want to be able to know who you are. We want to be able to share what you do. We want to be able to understand you, what you do, and how we can help you, as well as how we can build that relationship between us and other people. So knowing your goal is important. It's not just to get a job. It is to find the right job for you. And the goal of what we're doing here is to help you express that in ways that we can understand it and we can do it. So one of the things that I forgot to do is introduce myself in that way as well, as Sue just did, is that Sue and I both are here because this is our labor of love. We love being able to give back. We know you don't want to be here, but we're here to support you in every way that we can. And I'm a former recruiter, both internally as well as a headhunter. I have been, and I hate that term, but it's coming back into people talking about it again, right? The executive search consultant. I've been an HR business partner. I've been a talent acquisition manager. I've been a hiring manager, and I've been a dedicated job search coach now for the last 7 years. And what I do is that I work with people to help them to refine their job search strategy, to think about what their transferable skills are, and to highlight those skills and bring out their accomplishments in ways that help a future employer see that they're the right fit. And then I coach people through interview prep as well. My goal is to help you find your next forever job. And I want you to be in charge of the process so that you can hire them as much as they hire you. I've put my contact information in the app or in the chat as well. I'm happy to have a quick conversation with anyone, answer your questions and so on. And if we are connected, then I'm happy to introduce you to other people in my network. In fact, I know that there are a couple of people from last week that I still have to make those connections, but I need some information from you all first. So double check all of that. We're going to take a minute for a moment. I just want to acknowledge everybody who's here. So I see Carl and Bo and Cindy and Julie and Sue and Lisa. Chad, Diana, Eileen, Donna, Ken, Al, Shelley, 2 Shelleys, Norma, Esmeralda, Whitney, John, Scott, Tina, Jill, Cyrus, V, Art or Arturo. There we go. Cyrus, Vanadurga, Joanne. And by the way, if I'm mispronouncing your names, please tell me. Scott, Ali or Ali, and I apologize, I don't remember. Dwayne, Desiree, Joanne, and Kelly. If I've missed anybody, I apologize, but I want you to know that you're all here, you're all valued. The other reason that I do that is another way of reminding people that if you have limited connection request messages, it's okay to be able to send a request to those people who are here today. We've already seen your names. We're going to see your names again in the chat. We'll see your name in the private group, and the link to the private group is in the chat so that you can send a connection request without having to send a connection message if you have limited messages. Okay. So we'd like to be able to do everyone. By the way, the private group, for those of you who are not part of it yet, it's only limited to those people who have either registered for these meetings and can't attend, or those of you who are actually here. The point of that private group is that we can be very open. It's a non-judgmental group. It's a way to share and support one another. What we put in that group is not available to anyone else on LinkedIn to see, which means that you can ask for endorsements. You can say, do you have ideas for me? You can share jobs. You can ask questions. It's a great way of getting that support that you need as part of that career GPS. So be careful. You join it. Okay. The link to the group is in the chat. Request access, and I will admit you. Okay. And that's the way that you join the group. If you are a first level connection, I can request that you join, or I can just invite you. But if you and I are not first level connections, you have to make the access and the request. Okay. All right. What I'd like to do is take a couple of minutes because we'd like to do a little bit of small group networking. So before I go into groups, okay. Not true. Eileen, you can have 100 groups, not 50. Okay, so LinkedIn does have a limit on the number of groups you can join, but that limit is 100, not 50. Okay, we currently have over 220 people in our private group, so there's a lot of networking going on there. All right. Somebody asked about where you can find, okay. Yeah, if you're in 100 groups already, you are going to have to drop some out. Thanks, Sue, for telling people where they can find that name pronunciation on your phone. Having the app on your phone is a good thing. It gives you lots of features, or some features that you don't have any other way, which is kind of silly, but it's important. One of the other reasons, again, for thinking about that 40 character limit in terms of how you talk about yourself, how you introduce yourself, is that people look at these things on their phone, and when they do, that's really all they're going to see. So always check your profile out. Always check those things out, not only from your computer or your tablet, but also from your phone, just to see how it looks. Okay. All right. Yes, you're right. The group cap does include those that you have requested, not just those that you're a part of. So it's okay to go in and delete some if they're no longer appropriate. And we'll talk about groups another time, but it's a good way of getting yourself out there and doing some more networking and connections. The other thing that by the way, that LinkedIn increased several months ago was the skills that are on your profile. Used to be 50, it is now 100. You don't need 100. You want to include them all, you can, but make sure that every skill that's in that section is one that you still want to be found for. So it's not just those things that you can do or the things that you used to do. It's what do you want to be found for? What do you most want to do? And remember our private group, it's okay to ask people in that private group to endorse you for 4 or 5 of those skills. If you want to be found for those skills, you need at least one endorsement. So ask the group to help you out and make sure that you're asking them what they can endorse you for as well. Okay. So Julie, it's not clicking the photo. There should be, I'll put the instructions in the private group so that we don't waste the time today. Okay. With my technology issues today, I can't share my phone screen. Or maybe I can.
Actually, Linda, I did find it. I
Oh,
just-
perfect.
So thank you. Yep.
Okay.
And thank you.
But it's a great way of doing it. So whether you've got a name that's easy to pronounce or not, it's a good feature to include.
Mhm.
So I would absolutely do that. All right. So what I'd like you to do now, we're going to go into do a little bit of networking. And for those of you who've done this with me before, you know that we do at least one session. And if you want to stay later, we can do a second. Okay, even after our standard time is done. We're going to go off for 20 minutes. If you can stay for 20, that's great. If you can't, we understand. But what I want you to do is in these little chat sessions now, in these networking groups, we're going to limit them in terms of size, but I want you to find out more about the other person. I want you to share your 50 words and get feedback from the others as to whether or not they know what kinds of things you're really looking for and how they can help you. Use it as a way of a conversation and as a way of helping to refine what that information is. We want to make sure that when people are looking at your profile, when they're listening to you, when they're seeing your information in the chat, that they know what you're doing, what you're looking for, and how they can help. Everybody clear? Okay, so I'm going to do that in just a minute, but I wanted to go back to a question that Whitney added in the chat about Teal and resume tools. I think that's a conversation for another day to some extent, but here's my take on that. Yes, there are a number of resume AI tools out there that might help. Teal is one of them that will help you to see whether or not your profile matches a position or your resume matches a position that's out there. Be very, very careful. Any of these AI tools are a good starting point. Do not expect that they will write anything for you. Do not expect that they will give you the absolute perfect match. Tools like Teal or JobScan can give you some information to start with, but they will match every single word that's out there. And you have to think about your resume in terms of a Boolean search. What terms am I going to be using to narrow down my field of candidates to find the right person that I want to talk to first? Not only that, we're finding that as more people are using some of these tools like Teal or JobScan or any other kind of an AI feature to work on their resumes or cover letters or LinkedIn profiles or posts, it is becoming very obvious to those of us who are reading those resumes, those cover letters, those profiles and posts that you didn't write it. We're seeing too many of them that look exactly the same or sound the same. Your profile, your resume, your posts, your cover letter, they all have to sound like you. So if you're going to use it at a starting point, that's a good thing, but don't use it as an ending point. Make sure that it really gives you ideas, not that it's writing it for you. even if you're just changing a word or two. Okay, but I'm going to see whether I can't get somebody to talk to us, and we'll do another session about AI coming up in the future. Okay, about some of those tools. Okay, so we're going to do some networking. I'm going to break you into small groups. We're going to do this for 20 minutes. I'm sorry, somebody had a question? LinkedIn is giving me problems again. Okay, so I'm going to try and get, there we go. I've got 3 people in a room. So let's go out and meet some new people. Okay. Have fun, guys. 20 minutes. I will let you know as we get closer to the end. Have fun. Hi, Whitney. Unmute.
I was in a room by myself.
Unmute.
Hello?
I hate when I do that.
It's okay.
I was in another room, but it was Esmeralda and she wasn't saying anything. Was I supposed to be in this room with you?
No, you're not. You were supposed to be in that other room. If she's not there, sometimes she has trouble because she comes in on her phone. So I
Okay.
can put you in another room.
Yeah, that probably would be good.
Okay. So let me.
Can you
And
hear
by
me?
the way, I have extensive knowledge now on AI and the resume tools and all that stuff. If you'd like to chat at some point, I'm more than happy to share.
Sounds good. Okay. What room were you in? There you are.
8.
Got it. Move to. Okay. Just sent you to another room. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Who is this?
This is Joanne. I was just in room 5
Okay.
and with Jill and someone else, and they left they exit the room.
It
So
told you exited or they did?
they did. So I come back here. I waited a few minutes and I come back
That's
here.
fine. I'll move you to another room.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Now she's
Linda,
jumping in. I love that.
Oops. I had
Long time no
raised my
see.
hand to include you, Linda, because nobody else joined my group because Ali dropped off, but now Whitney joined. So I think
Perfect.
we're
All
okay.
set.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,